Okay. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining the third series in our Thank you for joining the third series in the BeGreen Africa Entrepreneurship Program. As you are all aware, today's session we are going to be speaking on green business planning, crafting sustainable strategies for success. Right. So here with me, our facilitator for today is Chioma Ubudimpa. Or we also have Rolling Foko, who will help to translate the session into French for our French audience. So I'll give the floor to Chioma to introduce herself and Foko to do the same. Thank you. Chioma, please go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Chioma Ubudimpa. I am the creative director and founder of Red Button. Red Button is a sustainable fashion company where we produce female apparel with upcycled industrial and agro waste, locally handmade materials. I'm taking this session, of course, because I am an expert with pitching, and also I run a sustainable fashion business. I have also gone through this process with the Tune New Foundation program, and I'm here to share the best way you can report your business plan as a green business. Foko.
Oui, bonjour tout le monde, je suis Roland Foko, votre facilitateur francophone. Donc aujourd'hui, nous allons nous entretenir sur la rédaction d'un bon business plan. Et notre modératrice, notre interlocuteur, c'est Chioma, qui fait déjà dans une entreprise verte et qui est aussi une alumni de la fondation Tony Lemelou. Elle est experte dans le pitch, donc dans les présentations. OK, on va te dire Chioma.
Okay, TF, can we go ahead with the session now?
Yes, so thank you. Chioma will speak and Foko will translate like we usually do in our sessions, all right? So thank you and hope we have a productive session today. Okay, Chioma, over to you. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's get right into it. If you have any questions during the course of the presentation, please note your questions down. I think we would have some time after the class to answer your questions. So we're talking about, we'll be sharing this template, this BeGreen Africa business plan template. I'm sure you all have a copy of this template so that you can go through it with me. If you have it handy, please go through this presentation with me with the templates. The reason I'm using this template is because that's exactly the template you're going to use. So there's no point having a separate presentation while you're working on the template. So if you have it handy, open it so that we can go through it together and you can note your questions down as we progress. Now, for this presentation, I would recommend that we start from the end of the presentation. So I'm going to be working from the end. So what I mean by from the end is if you go to the last page of the business plan template, you would find two links there that's titled Further Reading. Please do not ignore these two links. Go through the links, go through the document to learn about projecting your green business. This document is important, or the two documents are important. Go through the documents to learn how to present your green business plan, right? It will give you tips and guide you on how to present your business plan. So that's the first thing to do before you start filling this document. Go through the link and open the document, go through it. You'll find very informative data and processes and information on how to fill this document. Foko.
Oui, donc aujourd'hui, nous allons travailler sur la rédaction à partir du modèle de business plan qu'on vous a remis et que certainement vous avez déjà. Donc, nous vous recommandons d'ouvrir ce modèle et on va travailler dessus ensemble. Donc, nous commencerons par la fin. La fin, ce sont les deux liens que vous voyez à l'écran. Il est important que vous n'ignorez pas ces deux liens. Vous devez les ouvrir afin de déjà les lire et comprendre ce que c'est qu'un business plan. Over to you, Chioma. Thank you.
All right. So for this business plan templates, we know that the first thing you see is away from the cover page, of course, is the executive summary, right? So after the table of content, you find your executive summary. But we're going to leave this executive summary for the last task. So the executive summary is going to be your last task or this business plan, right? So skip this executive summary and go straight to the body of the templates or the content of the templates from the introduction. So we're starting with the introduction. We'll come back to the executive summary at the end of all the other questions. And the reason that is because the content from all the other aspects of the templates is what will populate the executive summary, right? So let's start from the introduction. Now, for a green business, you have to introduce what your business is about, right? First thing you find here is the overview of your business. Now, talk about the stage where your business is, right? That's the research and development stage. Talk about your business. So for example, if you are running a renewable energy company, right? So talk about the research stage. How did you come about this whole business? So is it that you didn't have, you're struggling with electricity in your community, and you decided to solve this problem with renewable energy source? Talk about that research process. How did you find out about, how did you come about starting this business? How did you come about the data that you're using to work on your business, right? How many households are there that you're supplying this energy to? What's the profitability? How do you know that people would buy into this product or into your service, right? So talk about your business, the development stage, how you came about the research or the results from the research, and then of course your growth stage. How do you intend to move from research to actually developing your idea or developing the business model, right? So again, for your business is not something that is not an essay. So you're not expected to write so many words. 2 paragraphs or 1 paragraph each, it will suffice. So 1 paragraph for your research and development stage, 1 paragraph for your market entry stage, 1 paragraph for your growth stage. You don't need to write too much. So that's about the overview. Over to you, Foko, before we go into the other segments.
Oui, donc pour commencer cette formation, nous allons commencer par le résumé exécutif. Donc, quand on fait un business plan, la première chose qu'on doit présenter dans notre business plan, c'est le résumé exécutif. Mais vous devez quand même noter que ce résumé, c'est quelque chose qui vient à la fin. Donc, le résumé n'est fait qu'à la fin de votre business plan. Ce n'est pas parce qu'on le met au début. Et donc, le contenu proprement parlé du business plan commence par une introduction. Et dans cette introduction, vous devez faire un aperçu qui contient la description de votre affaire. Et dans cette description, vous devez premièrement parler des recherches et développement, ce que vous avez eu à faire comme recherche. Vous devez parler de tout ce que vous avez fait comme étude de marché. Et vous devez aussi parler du niveau de croissance que votre business a atteint. Donc, voilà les 3 étapes que vous devez faire apparaître dans l'aperçu de votre business plan, qui est la première partie de l'introduction. L'autre partie, ça sera la vision. Donc, on va le suivre ça pour la suite. Over to you, Shioma.
Thank you, Foko. So as a green business, you understand that you're working on 3 legs of value, right? The value that your business is offering is taking care of 3 major aspects. First is the economic value that you're bringing to the table. Second is the environmental value, right? Third is the social impact or the social value. Now, you have to be able to merge these 3 aspects of your business as a green business. You cannot be running a green business without any of these 3 values. So as you're talking about your introduction, include the fact that you are focusing on, or you have value in these three aspects. So if you're running a renewable energy business or you're starting a renewable energy venture, you'll be talking about how many people you're empowering with your business. So that's the social impact of your business. How many people you're empowering with this business, how many people you are, solving this problem for, how many businesses you're powering, or how many factories you're powering, or how many people in this community, or how many men you're employing, for instance. So that's the social benefit of your business. You have to be clear about that even during your introduction. Talk about how you are offering value in these three aspects. So for the environmental aspect, talk about your renewable energy strategy, how you are creating energy away from fossil fuels, right? That's because you've chosen to be a green business, right? So talk about how you're creating energy away from fossil fuels, or how you're not endangering the environment with your business. That's for the environmental impact that you're creating. Then for the economic impact, is your business is this venture going to be making profit? Are you contributing in any way to the economic value of the community or of the state? So talk about your profitability, your revenue, how you're going to make money, and then of course the people you're empowering through your business, that's the social impact, and of course the environmental impact, how you're creating, how you're not endangering the environment, how you're considering taking care of the environment with your business. Foucault.
Oui, il faut signaler que lorsque vous faites un business plan d'une entreprise verte, il est important de revenir sur trois valeurs principales. La première valeur, c'est la valeur économique. La deuxième, c'est la valeur environnementale. La troisième, c'est la valeur sociale. Donc, pour ce qui est de la valeur sociale, par exemple, vous devez indiquer quel est l'impact que votre projet environnemental, votre projet d'entreprise verte crée au sein de votre environnement. Vous devez, par exemple, indiquer le nombre d'emplois que vous créez. Ça, c'est des données importantes que vous devez indiquer dans votre business plan. Sur le plan environnemental, vous devez bien évidemment, si c'est par exemple un projet d'énergie solaire, vous devez expliquer comment vous apportez, comment vous fabriquez cette énergie, quelles sont les matières premières environnementales que vous utilisez, et comment est-ce que les populations utilisent le fruit de votre business. Et sur le plan économique, vous devez aussi indiquer comment votre projet est rentable, comment votre projet est finançable, comment votre projet est solvable. Donc, les parties prenantes doivent bien maîtriser que votre projet, c'est un projet qui sera fiable. Donc, voilà les trois valeurs sur lesquelles vous devez aussi insister lorsque vous élaborez votre business plan. Over to you.
Right. So thank you. The next thing is your vision statement. So your vision statement talks about where your company will be. Where do you want your company to be in the future? So it's your long-term goal. At the heart of your vision is, if your vision is the heart of a company. So the heart of a company is your company goal. Where do you want this business to be in the long term? Who do you want to be as a business, right? That's your vision statement. And state the vision statement there. So for example, you want to be the top 5 renewable energy company in Zimbabwe, for instance, or you want to be the go-to sustainable fashion company in South Africa, or you want to be the green textile manufacturer or the biggest green textile manufacturer in Ghana, right? That's your future goal. So here, state what your vision is. And again, your vision has to be driving you to achieve higher performance. So that thing you're looking at. So for instance, I want to be the biggest sustainable textile manufacturer in Ghana. Everything I'm doing now has to be targeted at being the biggest green textile manufacturer in Ghana, right? So your goal is something that will drive you to continue to move your business forward, right? So state your vision statement there. And then your mission statement is the activities or what you need to do to achieve that vision. So your vision is your company overall long-term goal, but your mission is the activities that would lead you to achieve that long-term goal. So those things, the statement of purpose that will that is leading you to your goal, basically. So that's what your mission statement would be. So for instance, if I want to be the biggest green textile manufacturer in Ghana, that's my vision statement. My mission statement, however, is the things that I want to do or the activities that I will be having that would lead me to become the biggest green textile manufacturer. So it could be, for example, harvesting or using just homegrown cotton from Kano, from Nigeria, or it could be using homegrown cotton from Accra, if you grow cotton in Accra. It could be upcycling only waste products, generated from Accra, right? So those major activities that you need to do, or serving customers in this so and so location who are engaging in these activities, right? So those major activities that you'll be having that will help you achieve your vision, that's what you state here as your mission statement. Please do go through the document that I talked about initially to find some examples and lead you to how to craft a proper mission statement. So that's for vision and mission statements. Foko.
Oui, pour ce qui est de la vision et la mission, vous devez comprendre que la vision, ce sont les objectifs à long terme que vous devez avoir. Et il est important en tant qu'entrepreneur de projets d'environnement, de projets écologiques, d'avoir une vision sur le très long terme. C'est donc ça. Cette vision, par exemple, peut être sur au Ghana, d'être la meilleure ou la première entreprise qui fait le traitement des déchets de textile. Sur le de Zimbabwe, ça peut être, par exemple, être la première entreprise qui intervient dans le solaire. Donc, c'est des choses que vous devez connaître proprement en fonction de vos ambitions. Donc, votre vision doit être clairement énoncée dans votre business plan. Maintenant, pour déployer la vision, il y a la mission. Et la mission ici, c'est tout simplement l'ensemble des activités que vous devez mener afin d'être ce leader-là, afin de pouvoir accomplir les objectifs que vous vous êtes fixés sur le long terme. Donc, c'est ça le but de la mission. Thank you. Over to you.
Now, your objectives is this, what you want to achieve over a defined period. So what do you want to do over, let's say, 1 year period, a 2 year period? And remember that these activities are also leading to your overarching goal as a business, right? So your objectives could be, and it doesn't have to be 5 or 7 or you don't have to follow these templates, literally, right? So it's just a guide to help you understand how to structure your green business plan. So for your objective, it could be establishing your product in the market. So my objective as a green textile manufacturer could be producing enough green textile for 100 fashion designers in Lagos. It could be my objective for the next 2 years, right? My objective could also be empowering 100 cotton mills in Kano, or establishing 100 cotton mills in Kano, right? That could be my objective in the next 1 year. Or it could be increasing my profitability level. It could be, it could be expanding my factory by, whatever, maybe 100 more equipment, right? So whatever it is you want to achieve within a given period, should state it there. It could be 3, it could be 2, it could be 7. The important thing is that your objective must be SMART. We all know about setting SMART objectives, right? It must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be attainable, it must be realistic, it must be time bound. So you hear me talk about, oh, I want to expand my factory by July 2027, or I want to empower, or I want to, what's the mill now? I want to supply 100 fashion companies with how many tons of, or how many kilograms of cotton textiles by the end of 2025, right? So ensure that it's specific. What do you want to, what's your target specific activity? It has to be measurable. What quantity? what will qualify it, how many, how, what do you call it now? It has to be attainable, right? Is it something that you can do? So you can't wake up and say, oh, I want to change the world. I want to change the world by supplying the whole world renewable energy. You know, clearly you cannot supply the whole world renewable energy. So it has to be something that you can do. Like the example I gave, or I want to supply 100 fashion designers with organic cotton, you know, in the next 3 years. That's something that's, you know, that's attainable, right? Next thing is realistic. It has to be something that is realistic, right? You cannot give vague objectives, something that you can do, that you have the resources to do, right? Again, it has to be time bound. So you have to say, oh, in 2020, by the end of 2025, this is what you need to do, or this is what you would have achieved, right? So remember, for your objectives, SMART objectives: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And with the examples I gave, you should be able to structure your objectives. Focus.
Donc, une fois que vous avez défini votre vision et votre mission, vous devez aussi avoir des objectifs assez clairs sur le court terme. Ça peut être un objectif semestriel, ça peut être un objectif annuel, ça peut être un objectif trimestriel. Vous devez bien les définir. Et ces objectifs ne doivent pas être forcément ce que vous voyez actuellement à l'écran. Donc, ça ne doit pas être exactement ce que nous avons cité. Mais toujours est-il que vos objectifs doivent être SMART. SMART, vous le savez déjà, ça veut dire que ça doit être spécifique. Donc, c'est des objectifs qui sont liés à une problématique bien indiquée et pour lesquels vous apportez une solution. Ça doit être des objectifs mesurables. Mesurables, ça veut dire que vous devez être capable de les quantifier pour qu'on puisse avoir des indicateurs de progression. Ça doit être des objectifs atteignables. Donc, n'allez pas dire des choses qui vont au-delà de vos capacités. Ça doit être des objectifs réalistes. Réaliste, ça voudrait dire que c'est des objectifs concrets et pour lesquels on peut avoir une certaine cotation afin de savoir que vous savez bien ce que vous dites. Ça doit être des objectifs temporaires. Temporaire, ça veut dire que dans le temps, il faut pouvoir mettre des unités de temps afin qu'on puisse facilement vérifier la progression de votre objectif. Donc, pour faire clair, vos objectifs doivent être bien définis, clairs, bien conçus et smart. Over to you.
Thank you. So next we move to the value proposition. Now, your value proposition is your offering. What are you offering to the market, right? What's your target market expecting of you? What's the benefit of your product or your service? That's your value proposition. Now, for your value proposition, it could be reduction in time, it could be reduction in cost, it could be enhancement of health. Like the example I gave, it could be more sustainable alternatives for fashion designers. So instead of them to use anything they buy in the market, I'm offering them a more sustainable material that they can use for fashion production, right? So that will be my value proposition. I am offering the fashion industry in Nigeria more or a sustainable alternative for fashion production. Or I'm offering the fashion designers in Nigeria organic cotton instead of what they buy in the open market, right? So that will be an example of my value proposition. So what exactly are you bringing differently? Remember, as a green business, you have to be bringing something that is offering that change in the environment, right? You're offering something that will bring that change in the community. You're offering value that will bring prosperity, economic gains for the community, right? So think about those three items as you're filling this business plan template. Think about how you're providing value economically, socially, and environmentally, right? So that's for your value proposition. For your business model and sustainability strategy, it's like I explained, how will your business be profitable? how will your business be sustainable? How do you want to keep running this business and the business doesn't fold, right? How do you generate funds, or how do you generate revenue in this business? How do you want to collect money from customers, right? Now, to articulate your business model, you have to address the people, planet, and profit, like I've been mentioning or I've been stating since I started. Think about these three items: people, planet, profit. The people talks about the social benefits, the planet, of course, the environmental benefits of your model, and profit is the economic benefits of your business model. So think about how people will benefit, think about how the environment will benefit, and then think about how you make money and sustain the business. That will be your green business and sustainability strategy. So for example, if you're, again, I'm going to be using my sustainable fashion business as an example. Now, I could say my sustainability strategy is I would only empower homegrown, cotton farms, right? My strategy is I would not import fabrics, or I would not import any kind of fabric. I would only produce homegrown, I only work with homegrown cotton farmers, right? So that is my strategy to empower cotton farmers in my community. That's my strategy to ensure that fashion designers in Nigeria are using homegrown cotton, because as I'm producing, I'm supplying them those materials, right? So that way I'll be phasing out the regular materials that are not sustainable. So that's an example of my sustainability strategy if I was a textile manufacturer, right? So here, use as an example, how would your business generate money, and how are you empowering people in your community? And of course, how are you keeping the environment safe? So that's your green business model and your sustainability strategy. Cool.
Oui, le prochain élément qu'on doit retrouver dans votre business plan, c'est la proposition de valeur. La proposition de valeur ici, c'est quelque chose d'original que vous apportez de nouveau sur le marché. Et ce marché doit être une cible assez bien segmentée, donc une cible précise à qui correspond ce que vous apportez comme valeur ajoutée. La proposition de valeur ça peut être une réduction de temps dans le traitement de quelque chose. Ça peut être que vous faites des meilleurs coûts. Toujours est-il que votre business doit être fortement lié à l'environnement et vérifier trois théories, ou bien apporter des bénéfices à trois choses: les populations, dont les gens, la planète et le profit. Donc, ça doit être un business profitable. Ça, ne l'oubliez pas. Ce n'est pas parce que vous faites dans l'environnement, dans le traitement des déchets, dans l'énergie solaire que votre entreprise doit être profitable. Non, votre entreprise doit être profitable, doit être quelque chose qui contribue à l'environnement de la planète et aussi quelque chose qui profite aux gens. Et vous devez savoir que pour cela, vous devez avoir un business model. C'est-à-dire une façon de gagner de l'argent à travers votre business. Et par exemple, elle prend son exemple en disant que son business est durable. C'est une entreprise qui fait dans l'écologie, mais qui est aussi durable. Et sa durabilité a été fixée sur le fait qu'elle n'utilise que les matériaux locaux comme matière première. Et quand on utilise les matériaux locaux comme matière première, ça permet de créer des emplois. Donc, dans son cas, elle crée des emplois au Nigeria. Ça peut être direct ou indirect. Toujours est-il que ce qu'on vous recommande, c'est d'avoir un business lié à l'environnement et que ce business doit être quelque chose de durable dans le temps. Over to you.
Thank you. So now let's move to the key success metrics. This is as easy as, how do you want to measure the success of your business? What's that thing that would happen and you say, oh, my business is successful in this area? So the three key success metrics that you'll be thinking about is, how exactly what does success mean to you to have added value to people, right? So if you say, oh, we have created social impact in this community, what would that be? How do you want to measure that you've created social impact? right? How do you want to measure that you have, impacted the planet, or you're taking care of the planet, or you're not endangering the planet? How do you want to measure that you're providing economic benefits for the community, or that your business is profitable? How do you want to measure that? So an example will be, in my business, we're empowering 300 women in the rural communities who are hand making the materials that we use, right? So the key success metrics here would be, I've empowered 300 people, in the space of 5 years, for example. Or we would recycle 11,000 tons of plastic waste to make, fabric. Or we will raise $50 million to fund cotton farmers in this community, right? So what would that success metric be for you? So again, in terms of people, planet, and profit, you talk about what's the benchmark? So what would you say will happen after a given period? All right. So for example, in 5 years, we would have raised $50 million, for example, to do this project and that project. Or in 5 years, we would have supplied these 5 communities with how many so of renewable energy, right? So those are examples that you can use, but think about it in terms of the people, in terms of social impact, in terms of environmental impact, and in terms of economic impact. What are the key success metrics for you? Foko.
Donc, l'une des choses importantes quand vous faites votre business plan, c'est d'avoir des clés de mesure du succès. Ça veut dire quels sont les éléments qui peuvent permettre qu'on sache à un moment T que vous êtes vraiment dans le succès. Et c'est à vous de définir cette clé de succès. Donc, ça peut par exemple être le fait que vous vous êtes dit que vous allez recruter 300 personnes dans votre entreprise, direct ou indirect. Donc, voilà quelque chose qui peut permettre de mesurer effectivement votre succès. Ça peut être le fait que vous vous êtes dit que dans les 2-3 ans, nous allons lever 50 millions de dollars. Ça dépend de vous. C'est à vous de les fixer en fonction de votre activité. Ça peut être que vous vous êtes dit que vous allez traiter, par exemple, 11 millions de tonnes de déchets. Donc, il vous revient à vous de mettre en place, dans le cadre de votre business plan, des éléments de calcul de votre succès. Over to you.
Okay, so this is quite explanatory. Talk about the product or service you're offering. Describe the product or service you're producing, and how you want to deliver this value to your customers. So again, for example, renewable energy, or we're producing new solar panels for so and so communities, or we would be so in my case, for example, or in the fashion business, for example, we would be producing homegrown cotton, producing organic cotton fabrics from our homegrown cotton. You're partnering with our home cotton farmers in Sansu community, right? So describe that product, whatever the product would be. You're manufacturing solar panels or solar batteries, or you're empowering women in some community who are doing handcrafts. Whatever it is that you're doing, describe it in this section. Now we're moving to industry and market analysis. Now here, you talk about the sector that you're working in, right? So just state the sector of the economy. If you're in waste management in Zimbabwe, you state you're in waste management in Zimbabwe. If you are in circular fashion in Nigeria, you state that you're in circular fashion in Nigeria. So if it's fashion rentals, if it's fashion repairs, alterations, if it's renewable energy in Ghana, you state you're in renewable energy in Ghana, right? So where is your business playing? To state it there. State the key features or peculiarities of the industry that makes it viable, right? I will talk about the growth potential. So for example, in Nigeria, the fashion industry in Nigeria is booming, right? And so let's say my fashion business is about recycling or renting fashion rentals. or yeah, so let's say fashion rentals. So I'll talk about the key features or the peculiarities in my industry in Nigeria. It's a booming fashion industry. You talk about the market size and how fashion has become such a huge economic, you know, how fashion creates economic opportunities, right? So there's so many events. Nigeria is booming with a lot of, red carpet events. There are weddings, cultural events, and people are, wear different kind of things and they don't repeat their clothes. So you can talk about how you want to, develop a business by renting to that market because the market is huge, right? So talk about the peculiarities again. Renewable energy, you can talk about the electricity challenges. If you have electricity challenges in your country and how your solution can curb the electricity challenges, how many people will be affected or will benefit from your renewable energy solutions, right? So those are examples that you can use. Now, state the key features of, okay, I've talked about it. So demonstrate your growth potential. How many people are in this market that you're going to serve and how will your business grow? State the actions of the government that support your industry. Research how the government has supported your industry that you can also tap into, right? Then talk about the market you intend to serve. I've talked about that. How many people are in this market that you intend to serve? Who are the major players in that industry that you can also plug into or you can research? Talk about the size of the market. I've talked about that. How many people, what's the volume and where are they? You're talking about people who don't have lights, you're producing solar panels for, or you're talking about organizations who you want to help transition from fossil fuels to solar energy. Which organizations are these? What are the size of these organizations? Talk about, those are examples. Now talk about the segments, the different customer groups. Are you providing, what do you call them now? Renewable energy? Are you providing energy source for homes or, for residential buildings or for commercial buildings? Where are these commercial buildings? How many residential buildings? So talk about the different target groups that you have. Then, for example, in the fashion industry, I can talk about different customer groups, individuals, or I'm working with, Nollywood or movie producers who are renting clothes for their sets. I'm working with, let's say, music video producers. I'm working with stylists. So these are different target groups that I could be working with. So talk about those as well. So you can state the potentials of the market. So talk about the potentials of the market. So there's so many people here, the people you want to serve, how it's going to benefit them, how the market is growing. I will keep there's going to there's a what do you call it now? The cultural space in Nigeria will constantly continue to boom, and people will continue to rent dresses, people will continue to fix dresses, people will continue to rent cultural costumes. You can talk about if you're in renewable energy, factories are dependent on your energy source to be able to continue producing their products. So there's so many scenarios you can think about, talk about the potentials and the growth in that market. Yeah, Foucault.
Oui, le prochain élément que nous allons aborder, c'est les produits ou services et l'industrie dans laquelle vous intervenez, ainsi que l'analyse de son marché. Concernant les produits et services, vous devez savoir que toute entreprise met sur le marché des produits ou des services. Les produits, ça veut dire que c'est physique, les services, ça veut dire que c'est virtuel ou bien que c'est non palpable. Donc, toujours est-il que, quel que soit le produit ou le service, ça doit être un concept, ça doit être quelque chose que vous pouvez même protéger. Ça peut être une marque. Et pour cela, vous devez le designer, le travailler de telle sorte que cela soit identifiable par rapport aux produits de la concurrence. Donc, pour cela, vous pouvez par exemple vérifier si vos produits ou services respectent les normes. C'est autant de choses que vous devez faire dans un business plan, c'est-à-dire bien définir votre produit pour qu'il soit identifiable par rapport aux produits des concurrents. Concernant maintenant le secteur d'activité et l'analyse du marché, vous devez vérifier que votre produit ou votre entreprise verte intervient dans un secteur de l'économie. Ça peut être le traitement des déchets, ça peut être l'énergie solaire, ça peut être tout ce qui est lié à l'environnement, l'agriculture et tout ça. Donc, c'est à vous de les définir, de pouvoir donner les caractéristiques de vos produits. Votre activité, en quoi est-ce que cela rend viable votre environnement? Est-ce que vous êtes dans un secteur où il y a une croissance? Parce que notez que, quelle que soit l'entreprise que vous créez, vous devez toujours investir dans un secteur où il y a un potentiel de croissance. On n'investit pas dans un secteur en décadence, non. On investit toujours dans un secteur où il y a un potentiel de croissance. C'est-à-dire que le marché va grandir au fur et à mesure, au fil des années. Vous devez aussi vérifier si dans votre secteur, le gouvernement a déjà mis en place des lois. Quelles sont les mesures incitatives qui ont été mises en place pour favoriser l'exercice de votre activité? Si ça existe, vous devez les indiquer dans votre business plan. Vous devez aussi indiquer les tendances de marché de votre activité. Donc, quels sont les différents acteurs, les acteurs principaux qu'il y a dans votre activité? C'est des choses que vous devez connaître et indiquer dans votre business plan. Le marché dans lequel vous devez adresser vos produits, est-ce que c'est un marché en potentielle croissance? Quels sont les volumes? Est-ce que c'est possible? Quelles sont les différentes possibilités qui s'offrent à vous? C'est des choses que vous devez indiquer. Quel est le segment de marché que vous allez directement adresser, à qui vous allez directement adresser votre produit? Quels sont les groupes de clients que vous allez intéresser par votre produit? C'est autant de choses que vous devez mettre dans votre business plan. Est-ce que votre produit s'adresse de façon spécifique à des personnes particulières? Tout ça, vous devez indiquer aussi bien que le potentiel de croissance de votre marché. Donc, voilà globalement des choses qu'on doit voir dans votre business plan. Thank you. Over to you.
All right. Thank you. I hope I hope we're together. I hope you're noting your questions if you have. Next is competition. So we'll go a bit faster because I see that we still have a lot to cover. Now, for competition, very easy. Just state who your competitors are, who the competitors are in that industry, right? So you cannot say you don't have competitors, you don't have competitors. State your competitors there. 3 or 4 competitors will be fine. Now state their competitive advantages, right? How are they playing in that market? What edge do they have over your own solution, right? What customer segments are they focusing on? So for example, if you're focusing on residential buildings, we have, companies who are focusing on industrial buildings, right? So talk about, so for example, if you're in Greek, you can talk about focusing on, direct to customer solution. You're providing, farm produce to customers directly. And your competitors might be focusing on supplying businesses, right? Might be focusing on supplying big stores like ShopRite and Spar, right? So talk about the customer segments your competitors are focusing on. Then talk about the probability of new entrants. So how is this your competitive landscape? Right? Is it easy for new entrants to just come in? Is it easy for people to just wake up and say, oh, let me produce solar panels? Is it easy for people to come into that industry? How does the industry work, right? Then talk about the barriers that you must overcome. So do you have low entry barriers, or anybody can wake up and become, a fashion designer, right? So, or anybody, or people need to actually go through processes, approvals, just like you have in NAFDAC, just like you have in Nigeria. Food companies have to go through approval processes by SON and NAFDAC and the rest of them. What's the barrier, entry barrier, and what does it look like in your industry? Now, of course, is it high or low for customers to switch? Can anybody just wake up and choose a different vendor today and then wake up and think, oh, I don't like this vendor, or you're not producing enough power, let me switch another vendor? Is that how it operates what's obtainable in your industry? So talk about that scenario. Then talk about how you achieve customer loyalty. So with all of these things you've stated, why are you different? Why will your customers stick with you and not jump to the next person, right? So talk about that. How are you standing out from all, from all your competitors? And how are you providing unique value that will make your customers loyal to your service? Right? So that's about that for competition. So Foko, take on that one.
Oui, pour ce qui concerne la concurrence, dans un bon business plan, on doit aussi parler de ses concurrents. Quels sont les concurrents principaux qu'on a dans le secteur? Vous devez parler d'eux. Donc, vous devez déjà faire une étude sur eux, parler d'eux, donner leur adresse, leur nombre d'employés, leur chiffre d'affaires pour les éléments qui permettent à vos parties prenantes, destinataires du business plan, de pouvoir apprécier quel est votre positionnement dans le marché. Vous devez indiquer quels sont vos avantages et les désavantages que vous avez vis-à-vis de votre concurrent. Vous devez aussi indiquer sur quoi est-ce que vos concurrents sont focalisés. Est-ce qu'ils ont des points focaux qu'eux ils regardent? Est-ce qu'il y a une barrière à l'entrée dans votre secteur? Auquel cas, vous devez indiquer afin qu'on puisse savoir le niveau de perméabilité de votre activité pour savoir si tout le monde peut entrer à tout moment. Ce sont les éléments qui comptent. Donc, vous devez aussi dire quels sont les coûts que vos concurrents supportent et comment est-ce que vous les gérez à votre niveau pour savoir si on peut facilement rentrer dans votre secteur. Et aussi indiquer quels sont les principaux concurrents et ce qu'ils ont eu comme record. Est-ce que c'est des parfaits? Est-ce qu'ils sont déjà reconnus? Est-ce qu'ils ont une certaine notoriété? Donc, c'est autant d'éléments que vous devez indiquer afin que vos lecteurs de votre business plan puissent apprécier votre maîtrise de votre activité. Thank you. Over to you.
All right. So we're moving quickly. Next is your SWOT analysis. So we already know what SWOT analysis is. This is where you talk about your strength, your weaknesses, the opportunities in your industry, and the threats there, right? So for your strength, you talk about your skills, so those things that you have, Gidigba, those things that you have that enable you to work effectively. So those advantages you have, right? That's what you put in in this box, in this quadrant, strength quadrant, right? So talk about the skills that you have. You have a team of experts who have experience in this, that, right? So because of the skills of this expert, you're able to stand out, or you're more competitive, right? So it could be your financial resources. It could be that you have raised funding in the last 1 year. It could be that you have moved into a new market. It could be that you have a large customer base. Whatever your strengths are, talk about it there. Then we'll move to your weaknesses. So your weaknesses are the things that are not going quite well with you. So those weaknesses that are making you not be like every other person in your industry, right? So for example, your weakness could be that you are still a small business, you haven't raised funding, or your weakness could be your inability to attract the right talent. Your weakness could be that your market size is small or is limited. Your weakness could be your location, right? Your location, the issue with your location. So for example, in your farm, you experience flooding. There's always flooding in this location. And because of this flooding, your yield is low, right? So those are examples of your weaknesses. So for the opportunities, so those things that seems as though they are problems, but you have the capacity to solve those problems. So the opportunities in the market could also be the size of that market. There's so many people who are having these challenges in this market, and we have the solution for these people. That's an opportunity. That the market is large. There's an opportunity to sell to 5 million people in this market. It's an opportunity. Or it could also even be that there's an abundance of talent in this community, and you're able to access this talent. That's opportunity for you. It could also be the regulations of the community favors your business or favors your operations. That's an opportunity there, because you don't have to struggle with government regulations, or you don't have to struggle with the community regulations. So it could also be an opportunity, the regulations there. So whatever it is that gives you an edge in that in your business would be your opportunity. So those are examples. Then for threats are those things that are hindering your hindering the activities of your business, right? It could be something that's threatening you. It could be new entrants, the people who are coming into your business or your industry, the new competitors. It could be a threat. It could also be new innovation, right? So new innovation. So for example, the issue with let's say Kodak. So Kodak and the rest of the mobile phones. Now nobody or Kodak pictures, right? Or Kodak films rather, with every other technology that is now taking pictures, right? So Kodak has gone under because we have new technology. So your threat could be new technology coming to take over, what you have built or the solution that you're building. It could also be, things like disasters, right? So if your community is prone to disasters, it could be a threat to your organization, right? So those are examples of threats. So you fill those things in there, into these boxes, and ensure that they are clear, so you can exploit the opportunities. Now, remember that for this quadrant, strength is what you leverage. You leverage your strengths to do more, to be profitable, to do more for the environment, to empower more people. So your strength is what you leverage to grow your business. Your weaknesses is what is hindering you. Your weaknesses can hinder you. There are things that you're not doing very well, right? But your strengths can make up for your weaknesses. The opportunities are the things that you can explore to do more. The opportunities are the things that you can explore to create more value. For example, creating more value with the market size. So you can explore the market size to create more value. You can explore the talents available in that community to create more value. You can explore the favorable market conditions, the favorable regulations to create more value. Your threats, however, are risks and challenges that you would experience that would hinder your progress in that business. I hope that's clear. Foko. Foko, are you there? Okay, I think he's having issues with internet.
Une chose aussi importante que vous devez indiquer dans votre business plan, c'est votre analyse SWOT. Analyse SWOT qui veut dire en français, c'est FFOM, force, faiblesse, opportunité et menace. Donc, pour ce qui concerne les forces, il est important que lorsque vous rédigez un business plan, que dans ce tableau qu'on a mis en vert, jaune, rouge et bleu, que vous puissiez indiquer respectivement quelles sont vos forces. Ça veut dire que des choses que vous avez déjà pu dompter et qui peuvent vous permettre ou servir de levier pour pouvoir bien faire votre business. Au niveau des faiblesses, c'est autant de choses qui ne se passent pas encore bien au sein de votre entreprise et que vous avez identifié et pour lequel vous reconnaissez que vous pouvez apporter des mesures palliatives afin que ces faiblesses puissent disparaître. Au niveau maintenant des menaces, ça déjà, il faut dire ça, c'est ce qu'on appelle souvent l'analyse interne. Ça veut dire force et faiblesse. C'est des choses qui sont internes à votre entreprise ou à votre projet. Pour ce qui est maintenant de l'analyse externe, c'est ce qu'on parlera des menaces et des opportunités. Les menaces de tout ce qui est lié à l'environnement et qui n'est pas toujours positif pour votre entreprise et qui peuvent venir plutôt diminuer les opportunités ou bien ce qui se passe dans votre projet. À ce moment-là, vous devez aussi les identifier et indiquer comment est-ce que ces menaces peuvent être mitigées au sein de votre projet. C'est à vous de le faire parce qu'il n'est pas toujours bien séant que ce soit les gens vers qui sont destinés votre business plan qui découvrent certaines choses que vous n'avez pas eu à découvrir. Ce n'est pas bien. Maintenant, pour ce qui est des opportunités, c'est autant de choses positives non liées à vous, mais liées à votre environnement qui peuvent venir bonifier les appréhensions que vous avez dans votre projet. Je ne vais peut-être pas prendre des exemples, mais il est important que vous sachiez que dans un business plan, il est important de faire ressortir les forces, vos faiblesses, les menaces que votre environnement fait sur votre activité, autant que les opportunités que votre environnement apporte à votre activité, sans bien sûr oublier l'analyse PESTEL. Ça veut dire quelles sont les implications politiques, économiques, sociales, technologiques, légaux et environnementaux qu'il y a dans votre projet. Thank you. Over to you, Shioma.
All right, quickly, let's go to your risk. Now, for your risk, like I mentioned during the threats, so there are things that could happen that could go wrong, right? So here you mentioned 3 major risks that you've identified, things that are likely to occur, and in their and in the impacts at which they would occur. So, for example, the risk you've identified could be government regulation, right? So the governments might, say, oh, we don't want motorcycles running here anymore. So even though you use motorcycles for your deliveries or use motorcycles to move, farm produce, but if the government says, oh, we don't want motorcycles running in this community anymore, that's a risk. What would you do? How would you mitigate that risk? Or it could be, flooding. It could be a pandemic, right? So if those things happen, what would be the strategy? That's what you have to list here. So list the risk you've identified, then talk about the likelihood. For example, likelihood for a pandemic, is the impact going to be high? So yes, if there's a pandemic, it means there'll probably be a lockdown, right? So the impact on your business might be high if you're, for instance, working outside, right? If your human centered solution, if you're offering human centered solution physically, you will be impacted. But if it's a technology solution, it could even be an opportunity that more people would come, more people would be subscribed to your platform, right? For mitigation strategies, your mitigation strategy would be that you would develop an online platform to ensure that, oh, even if there's a lockdown, you're still in business, you're still providing your solution. So that's an example. So for flooding, you could talk about how you want to mitigate against flooding for your farmland, right? So talk about the impact of flooding. So once it's flooded, your yield will be low, or the flood will wash away your produce. So that's the impact. So the impact will be high. So in this case, the impact will be high, right? So identify those risks. It could be 5, 7, 3, and then talk about your mitigation strategies. Okay, let's take that quickly before I move to operations plan. Foco.
Oui, rapidement, pour ce qui est de la gestion des risques, il est important que vous puissiez dans une section indiquer quels sont les différents risques que vous avez identifiés. Et chacun de ces risques doit être décrit. Vous devez aussi indiquer quel est l'impact que ce risque a dans votre projet et indiquer enfin comment est-ce que vous allez atténuer. Donc, quelles sont les mesures d'atténuation de ces risques? Et ces risques peuvent être d'un niveau élevé, d'un niveau moyen ou d'un niveau bas. Il vous revient de les identifier un à un et de ressortir, comme je l'ai dit, la description, l'impact et les mesures d'atténuation. Nous passons maintenant aux explications sur le plan opérationnel et le plan marketing. Over to you, Shioma.
Right. So operations plan. How do you plan to run your business? What are the things that you need to run this business? Do you need permits? Do you need approvals? What permits and approvals do you need? What licenses do you need? Right. So those are part of the operations plan. So next is your material resources. What are things that you need? Do you need a factory? Do you need raw materials? Do you need a physical building, or like a plant, or a showroom? Or what are the things that you need? How many talents or how many people do you need to work in delivering this service, right? And how do you obtain them? Are you going to hire? Are you going to partner with a contract management company? Are you going to, work as agents? Are you going to employ directly? Are you going to have suppliers? How do you plan to coordinate the resources that you need, right? That's part of your operations plan. Talk about that. How do you plan to, hire? How do you plan to get the people that will deliver the service? How do you plan to acquire the licenses? Have you applied already? Which licenses do you need? Are they in progress? Yeah, and all those kind of things. Now, state your key resources. What are the things you need? Do you need a developer to develop the platform for you? Do you need do you need engineers to work on or to build the factory? Do you need chefs who are preparing the recipes? What exactly do you need? You talk about it here, the key resources for your business. Then you describe how you deliver this product or service to the customer. Now, are you delivering online? Are they subscribing to a platform? Are they coming to the markets to purchase these goods? Are they, going to receive them from their homes? How exactly do you want to deliver the product or the service to the customers? Talk about it here. Now, state your suppliers. Who are the suppliers? What's your relationship with them? Are they distributing monthly or quarterly? Are they agents? Are they, do you just buy from the open market? Talk about your suppliers. So this is like a snapshot of your operations plan. Essentially, how will your business run? So first of all, we already know what your business model is. You've talked about that before. Then here is how would that model operate wholly? So these bullet points will help you enumerate how your business will run in terms of everything you need, the resources you need, and how you deliver the service to the customers. Foucault.
Donc, pour ce qui concerne le plan opérationnel, il faut dire que c'est un plan qui fait ressortir tout ce dont vous avez besoin pour que votre produit soit sur le marché. Donc, ça peut par exemple être les différentes licences, les permis que vous avez, les autorisations. Ça peut aussi être les brevets. Parce qu'il faut dire que dans le cadre de votre activité, de votre entreprise verte, votre concept peut être breveté. Auquel cas vous aurez l'antériorité ou bien vous aurez l'exclusivité d'utilisation sur une période qui peut aller de 15 à 20 ans. Donc, aussi, il est important d'indiquer quelle est la technologie que vous allez utiliser dans le cadre de votre entreprise. Cette technologie peut impliquer un certain type de matériel. Ça peut être des biens physiques ou bien des biens immatériels. Vous devez aussi indiquer quel est l'organigramme et tout le processus qui va être utilisé pour pouvoir produire. Et pour cela, il faut aussi indiquer qui sont vos fournisseurs. Comment est-ce que vous faites pour avoir ces fournisseurs-là? Quelles sont les matières premières que vous utilisez? Si c'est par exemple un recyclage, quelles sont les ressources que vous récupérez dans la nature afin de pouvoir les recycler ou les upcycler en leur donnant une autre vie? C'est autant de choses que vous devez indiquer dans votre plan opérationnel parce que c'est le plan opérationnel qui permet aux investisseurs et aux parties prenantes de bien comprendre qu'est-ce que vous menez comme activité au point de pouvoir apporter de la valeur telle qu'on l'a indiqué tout à l'heure à vos clients. Thank you. Over to you, Shioma.
All right, moving on quickly, let's talk about your marketing plan. So here, you state how your customers will be made aware of your product. So essentially, what's your go-to market plan? How do you want to notify or sensitize the market about your product or your service, right? It could be through social media advertising, as we have now. It could be traditional advertising, via radio, newspaper, TV, and the rest of them. Essentially, state how you want to market your product or service. That's it. Now, talk about how you want to promote your product and service, away from, digital advertising. It could be talk shows, it could be trade fairs, it could be, appearing at events, networking. It could be presentations to, corporate presentations, pitching to corporate organizations about your product. State how you want to promote these products or services, right? Now, describe the pricing strategy of your product. Imagine that it's a new product, you're entering into a new market, right? How do you want to price this product? How much are you going to sell this product? How much profit are you going to have, or what's your profit margin? How do you come about the profit margin? How do you even know that you're making profit? Are you pricing based on the value? So there are different pricing strategies. I'm not going to go into pricing strategy now, but for the sake of your homework, find out what the pricing strategy that you're using is. Is it value pricing? Is it cost profit pricing strategy? Are you pricing based on, oh, my cost is $5 and I'm adding 100% on it, so I'm selling for $10? Or are you pricing based on value perception? Or I'm targeting the high-end market, so the value is a perceived value. So these people would only buy things from $100 million, for example, even if your cost is $100, right? So essentially, talk about how you came about, how you want to price your product, right? Again, I would assume that you have done your homework to understand what pricing strategy that you're using before you present it here. Now, describe your, okay, I've talked about that. What will be the incentives that will make them switch from current providers to yourself, right? So imagine that you developed this pricing strategy, and I would also assume that you know the prices, the competitive prices available in that market. How are you being competitive with your pricing, right? Why will people stick with you even though you are more expensive? Or are you offering more value and you're cheaper? How exactly does it work? How do you retain your customers with your pricing strategy? Now, state how you ensure your customers, state how you credit your customers, state how you ensure that credit customers even pay. I don't even advise that you sell anything on credit, right? But if you must sell on credit, you have to know how you would receive payments for such credits, for such transactions, right? Now, state how your customers would pay you if you're selling on credit. State the channels on which you receive customers. So, for example, are you receiving payments online? Are you receiving payments in the market? Are you receiving cash payments? Are you receiving, just talk about how you want to receive payments, and then the channels that your customers would interact with you. So do you have an e-commerce website, or are they buying directly from the market? Or are you selling directly to their houses? Or is it a subscription model that they subscribe to every month? Talk about those channels, whatever it is. So essentially, this whole marketing plan is about the product that you have, how you want to get this product to the market, how much you want to sell it to your customers, or how you have developed your pricing for the customers, why will the customers stick with you even with your pricing strategy, and how your customers interact with you, what platforms, what channels. That's what this marketing plan is about. Focus.
Donc, pour ce qui concerne le plan marketing, c'est simple. C'est juste une façon de résumer votre politique de 4P. Parce que le plan marketing, en fait, vous permet de gérer quels sont les objectifs commerciaux que votre entreprise a ou bien que votre projet a. Et lorsque vous avez défini tous ces objectifs commerciaux, vous devez maintenant indiquer comment est-ce que vous faites votre entrée sur le marché, ce qu'on appelle le go-to-market, comment vous faites pour mettre votre produit sur le marché. Et pour mettre le produit sur le marché, il faut bien évidemment définir la politique de prix, la politique de tarification. La politique de tarification qui doit être intimement liée à l'étude de marché qui vous a permis de savoir quelle est la psychologie de vos clients. Alors, pour cela, vous devez mettre en place une politique de marché qui va faciliter que votre flux de revenus soit sécurisé. Et bien évidemment, lorsqu'on a bien mis en place une politique de prix, il est question de savoir comment est-ce que vous faites pour que les clients soient au courant de votre produit. Ça, c'est la promotion. Donc, vous devez mettre en place un plan de promotion. Comment est-ce que les clients font pour avoir votre produit? Qui sont d'ailleurs vos différents clients? Est-ce que c'est les grossistes? Est-ce que c'est les consommateurs? Est-ce que c'est les prescripteurs? Et en fonction de tous ces maillons de votre chaîne de distribution, vous devez définir tous les différentes politiques de promotion et de distribution. Vous devez aussi définir quel est votre positionnement. Et le positionnement impacte directement sur le prix. Vous devez indiquer dans la politique de prix, vous devez indiquer est-ce que vous procédez à des réductions? Est-ce que vous procédez à des plans de promotion? Ça, je l'ai indiqué. pour que votre produit soit bien accepté et aussi que vos clients soient des clients fidèles, que vos clients soient des clients durables? Est-ce que vous avez une politique de crédit? Comment est-ce que vous traitez vos clients? Est-ce que c'est les clients qui ont des préférences? Tout ça doit être analysé dans le cadre de l'étude de marché. Et pour finir, vous devez maîtriser votre cycle de distribution. C'est-à-dire comment est-ce que les produits font pour arriver chez le client? Quels sont les différents intermédiaires? Est-ce que vos clients sont livrés à partir d'Internet? Est-ce qu'il y a des plateformes de paiement? Tout ça, c'est autant de choses que vous devez définir pour que votre entreprise soit quelque chose d'assez compact. Over to you, Shioma.
All right. We are almost done. So now let's talk about your management. So here you talk about the functions that you have in your organization. So by functions, I mean the different departments that you have. So it could be, production, you have admin, you have, finance, you have operations, you have marketing, you have facilities, whatever departments you have. This is where to expand on it. So describe the functions that you have in your business. So for example, in a sustainable fashion company, I would have maybe sourcing agents, people who are sourcing the raw materials or the organic raw materials, or I would have weavers, right? So the weaving department, the women who are weaving, or I would have the dyers, women who are hand dyeing, and hand making, some textiles. I would have maybe finishers. I would have maybe the packaging department. I would have finance or the accounts department. I would have the marketing and strategy departments. The departments where we talk about the product that we're offering, our brand. How we reach other markets, how we attend to customers, and our sales. Right. So. In your organization as well, you'd have those buckets of departments. Talk about them here and how you run these departments. Who are the people in these departments? How does it work? Why is it set up? What's their function? Right? Then the qualifications and expertise. So state briefly the qualification and expertise. Doesn't mean you talk about everybody in the department. So you can have one or two key people in the department. So for example, for a tech company, you can talk about all the qualifications of two developers. You can talk about the qualifications of two analysts. You can talk about the experience of your CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, and that would suffice, right? So talk about their roles and their responsibilities. Or the Chief Technology Officer has 5 years experience building this platforms for so companies, right? They are responsible for building our back end, this platform for customers in Kenya, right? That's for one person. So you can do that for 2 or 3 key people in that department. Now, the organizational structure, you can put an organogram. And I say this because that's the easiest way to project your organizational structure, right? So have a simple organogram. It doesn't have to be very complicated. If you have 4 people, for example, if you have a team of 4, you can have a simple organogram displaying the CEO, the CTO, the CFO, the CMO. You can depict, project your interns or trainees, or however small that it is. Use an organogram to present your organizational structure. So that way it's easier to process and see how your organization works in terms of who is doing what and where you also need help. So for example, you can even have the box where you need to fill. So if I'm looking to hire new developers or new farmers, for example, or new engineers, I would have the box that would leave that space for 2 engineers would come in by the end of the year, right? So the organogram would give us a fair view of the people you're working with currently, and also a view of the people you want to hire in the near future for your organization. Foco.
Donc, pour ce qui concerne la gestion, il est important que dans votre business plan, vous fassiez aussi ressortir quelles sont les différentes fonctions de votre entreprise. Ça peut être la fonction de production, la fonction administrative, la fonction des ressources humaines, la fonction personnelle, la fonction finance, la fonction marketing et toutes les autres fonctions, informatique, affaires générales et ainsi de suite. Donc, il est important de les faire ressortir et de définir comment est-ce que votre entreprise peut tirer parti de toute cette organisation. Et l'un des éléments très importants dans votre business plan concernant cette partie, c'est l'organigramme. Donc, vous devez aussi indiquer quel est l'organigramme de votre entreprise. Et pour certains postes clés, pas tous les postes, vous devez indiquer les qualifications et les expertises qui vous seront nécessaires pour la gestion de votre entreprise. Et ce travail ou cet exercice peut être fait doit être fait non seulement pour l'organisation actuelle, mais même pour l'organisation future. Donc, vous devez indiquer quelles sont les compétences que vous aurez à recruter dans le futur. Comme pour dire que votre organigramme doit être un organigramme général, pas seulement pour le présent, mais aussi pour le futur, afin que les destinataires de votre business plan aient une mesure de votre ambition. Merci. Over to you, Shioma.
All right, quickly to the financial plan. So here, I'm not going to be saying much about the financial plan because what you need to do here is to create, when you've created a financial plan, you would need an accountant. You need an accountant. So if you have accountant friends, I know that a lot of us, might be struggling with numbers at this stage of our business. But if you have an accountant friend or any accountant you can hire for the sake of your business plan, please hire them. I used to do that when I'm applying for opportunities. If I don't understand how to put my books together, and when I could not pay an accountant to be stationed in my business, so I hire an accountant on a project basis, right? So get an accountant, supply them with the information that they need, your bank statements and everything. They'll prepare a financial plan for you. When you prepare that financial plan, I'll show you where to paste it. So here, you paste it after the financial, where you have all this write-up. So after your key assumptions, I'll talk about all these ones. So after all this explanation, you paste that financial plan that your accountant has done, right? So you paste it here in such a way that it doesn't alter the structure of this page, right? What you can also do is to put it on like on Canva or put it in a picture format or in Excel and crop that part of Excel and paste it here, right? So essentially get an accountant to prepare your financial plan with the requirements on this business plan. They will understand if you share this business plan with them, they will understand what to do and you paste it here. It's also important that you understand what they're doing so that you're able to defend your financial documents, right? Now, for this financial plan here, you talk about your key assumptions. So here, there are so many assumptions that can, come up. It could be so the financial options you're choosing, if you're getting finance from an external body, if you're raising funds from somewhere else, why are you pegging, why do you think you're going to make this money? Or why do you think you're going to be able to repay that loan in 3 years? Or why do you think you're able to, get this investment or get the equity funding in 3 years or in 2 years? So essentially, what are the assumptions that you have for the finance structure that you're adopting, right? So if this financial plan is a bit cumbersome for you, I don't want to go into financial projections or talking about your financial statement here. What you can do is to get an accountant to help you figure out how to populate your financial plan. But essentially, if you're as your accountant is helping you populate this financial plan section, please also understand it so that you're able to defend, what he has put together here, right? Because the accountant will not be here to defend this document when you're being asked questions. All right. So his job is to help you understand the assumptions that you're making, your financial projections, your estimates, and if your financing structure would work for your business, if the finance option you're even taking will work for your business. He will help, or he or she will help you understand the financial plan for your business, right? So understanding it is also critical to help you make financial decisions, to make, also business decisions, if when your accountant is not here, is not there with you, right? So your key assumptions, the cost estimations and your projections. What are you looking at doing? Are you looking at funding your plant or your factory, or a new acre of land? Are you funding a new production facility? Are you funding raw materials distribution, acquiring new raw materials? Are you funding new talent? What exactly are you doing? What is your estimations for all these operations that you have? Now give a cost breakdown of all of the services and products that you're offering. Is it raw materials or repairs or equipment? Whatever it is, give a breakdown of all those projections and estimations. Then your financing, state how you want to finance all these things that you want to do, right? The factory you want to build, or the new farmland you want to acquire, or the tech platform you want to build, or whatever it is you want to do. You have to talk about how you want to finance it. So I talked about, are you getting equity funding? Are you getting a loan from a bank? Are you getting a grant? Talk about, your sources of funding. And then, of course, how you want to allocate this funding to what? Is it to operations? Is it to talent or human resources? Is it to marketing? Just state how you want to finance all the multiple sides of your operations. Now, revenue projections. State the products and services where you derive your revenue from. So, for example, if you have three revenue streams, you can talk about if you're a tech business, or we have a subscription model where people subscribe monthly. We also have a done for you service where people just buy what you have created, or so however it is you have structured your business. Talk about where you're getting revenue from, right? Remember, we're talking about this because you've expended money, you've gotten a loan, you've gotten a grant, you've gotten some money somewhere. Now, how do you want to spend that money? So after spending that money, you talk about how you want to receive the money back. So how are people buying from you? How will you generate all that money back, right? So that's what you talk about here for stating your revenue stream. Then talk about the way you price them. How would they subscribe to your platform? Is it $10 per month, or is it $30 per annum? For how many people are you projecting to subscribe per annum? So that way you have an idea of how much your revenue will be for a given period. All right. Okay, I just talked about that now. So you determine your revenue projections for 3 years. So if it's a 3-year period, you determine your revenue project for 3 years. With 5 years, you determine for 5 years. Now, next thing is your financial projections statement. Okay, they already stated it here. So it's Microsoft Excel. So I said, ensure that your accountant illustrates or produces this information on Excel. Then use your sniping tool on your computer to cut out that Excel sheet and paste it on this document. Or you can have the Excel sheet on its own and attach it alongside with this document. All right. I think that's about focal. So talk about the financial plan, and then we move to the last item.
OK, pour finir, nous allons aborder les questions financières. Alors, pour les questions financières, vous devez savoir que dans votre business plan, vous devez faire des projections de votre finance sur les 3 à 5 ans. Et pour cela, il faut commencer par les hypothèses clés. Les hypothèses clés, en fait, c'est une façon pour vous, dès le début de vos calculs financiers, d'établir quelles sont vos ambitions, quel est le standing de votre projet. Vous devez déjà visualiser cela avant de vous lancer sur le jeu de la gestion financière ou de la planification financière de votre projet. Et cette planification financière, bien évidemment, découle de tous les aspects que nous vous avons déjà expliqués, que ce soit sur tous les aspects techniques ou les aspects commerciaux ou marketing, comme vous ai expliqué. De tout ça, et tout ça a des implications sur le plan financier. Et ces implications sur le plan financier est organisée. Ces implications sont organisées selon des normes comptables qui dépendent de chaque pays. Donc, globalement, il faut retenir que vous avez des éléments de financement, vous avez des éléments de rentabilité, vous avez des éléments de solvabilité. Et tous ces éléments-là sont répertoriés ou bien se résument en des tableaux clés, comme par exemple le tableau de financement, comme le tableau de trésorerie, comme le tableau des pertes et profits, encore appelé compte d'exploitation provisionnelle ou tableau des résultats. Donc, ce sont des tableaux normalisés qui se font dans Excel et qui vous permettent de gérer toute la finance de votre projet. Et d'après le canevas qu'on va vous remettre, vous n'aurez qu'à les remplir en respectant tout ce qu'on va vous donner comme explication afin de pouvoir avoir de très bonnes projections financières de votre activité. Donc voilà, globalement, ce qu'on pouvait vous expliquer concernant les projections financières qui doivent être faites, déjà dit, sur 3 à 5 ans, afin que les différents destinataires de votre business plan puissent apprécier quel est votre niveau d'ambition et quels sont les chiffres correspondant à votre projet. Merci beaucoup de votre écoute attentive. Over to you, Shioma.
All right. Thank you, Foko. I think we have come to the last item. So your milestones and your attachments. So for milestones, state what you have achieved for, let's say for each quarter, for a given period, right? So for the next 2 years, for example, state what you have achieved for the next 2 years and the amount required to achieve them, right? So again, include the milestones of output. So for example, so my output could be in the next, let's say in Q4 2024, I would have produced 11,000 tons of recycled waste in this community, right? So that's my output. That's the mouse. That's what I'm looking to achieve in the next 2 quarters of the year. Maybe the next 2 years, I want to have created a new, I will have completed building the platform for our fashion rentals, right? That's something I want to do in the next 2 years. So that's the milestone. Now, it could also be how many clients you want to have. It could be the licenses you want to acquire. It could be the new market you want to enter. It could be your new coverage area. It could be how many factories you want to power with renewable energy. It could, so whatever it is, state that milestone and when you want to achieve the milestone, and then of course your output. Now indicate the number of staff, full-time or part-time. How many people do you have? How many people are you working with? Their contract staff, if they're on project basis, state what that number is. Now include your expansion of growth milestones. Like I said, I want to be able to expand to, for example, I want to expand to the US market. So we're producing in Nigeria and exporting to the US market by 2026, or by the end of 2025, we want to have built the biggest, production facility for organic cotton in Kano, right? So include your expansion or your growth milestones that can be tracked per quarter. So you can have the growth, growth milestone for, let's say, for 3 years, and then you can then break it down by quarter. Or by Q1 2025, we would have sealed or we would have signed a contract with the federal government to give us this, this, and that. By Q2, we would have, acquired, this license to do this and that. By Q3, we would have launched this product, right? So the whole expansion plan, and then the smaller milestones by quarter. So it just states here, avoid bogus and exaggerated milestones. So again, remember the objectives. Do not state things that are not achievable, that are not realistic, right? It's easier to see that, these things are not realistic. So you better state exactly what you can achieve, what is realistic, avoid exaggerating. So this is your milestone. So for your attachment, so you attach the financial plan. If you cannot attach it here, you have the Excel sheet on its own, and then you can also attach any other documents that you feel will support your business plan. So things like pictures or architectural plans or graphs, whatever it is that would make that support your business plan, you can attach them here at the end of this page. So this is the end of it. So after Foco translates this, we'll now go to the executive summary. Remember, we have the executive summary to summarize everything that we have done. Foco.
Donc, en complément de votre business plan, il est important que vous travaillez aussi et que vous l'indiquiez les étapes importantes. Les étapes importantes, c'est en fait des jalons que vous donnez dans le cadre de votre projet, en indiquant par exemple que d'ici 3 ans, il faudrait que j'ai recruté 50 personnes, ou bien que d'ici 1 an, il faudrait que j'ai atteint le marché du Tchad, ou bien que, bref, c'est à vous de pouvoir déterminer étape par étape les niveaux que vous voulez atteindre et vous les indiquez aussi. Donc, l'autre chose très importante sont les annexes. Donc, dans un business plan, vous devez mettre les annexes comme par exemple les états financiers projetés. Donc, tout ce qu'on vous a expliqué précédemment ne peut pas rentrer dans votre business plan. Vous allez juste mettre quelques éléments principaux dans le business plan, mais en annexe, vous mettez tous les états financiers détaillés. Ça peut être les amortissements, le détail des ventes, le détail des investissements à faire. Bref, tout ce qui va détailler ce qu'on vous a donné tout à l'heure comme élément. Donc, en annexe de business plan, vous pouvez aussi mettre des plans architecturaux. Vous pouvez mettre une copie de votre brevet, vous pouvez mettre une copie de CV ou même l'étude de marché que vous avez eu à réaliser. Donc, le business plan lui-même n'est souvent pas très volumineux, mais en annexe, vous pouvez mettre autant d'éléments qui viennent justifier votre business plan. Donc, n'oubliez pas, d'entrée de jeu, nous avons parlé du résumé exécutif et on vous a dit que le résumé exécutif se fait à la fin. Alors, rentrons au début pour voir le contenu du résumé exécutif. Over to you, Shioma.
Awesome. So let's go to the executive summary to summarize everything we have done. Remember that we left this summary for, we left it for last. Now, your executive summary is a 1-page, max 2-page length of this. In fact, it represents the snapshot of everything you have done, right? Everything you have done in the business plan. And now what this represents is, so for someone who probably doesn't have time to go through everything in your business plan, if I look at your executive summary, I can already tell what your plan is, right? So capture the very little details from all the sections of your business plan, like the summary details of all the sections of your business plan, right? So write in such a way that anybody can pick it up, read this 1 page and understand your business plan, even if you don't go through everything. So it's the core essence of your business plan. It should cover every section from introduction to the milestone, right? It could be 2 lines of each. So for example, your business plan would read something like the overview of your business, let's say entrepreneur, let's say Sky Ventures. So Sky Ventures is a renewable energy company that provides this, and that for so people in this community. The next thing you talk about is, so that's your introduction. Next thing would now be your objective. Or we want to build so plants in these communities to ensure that these people have lights. For example, we're doing this in the next 3 years to ensure that this happens. So that's your objective. So imagine that you've done about 4 lines with your summary and the objective. You move to the next thing, your value proposition. Why are you different? What are you providing differently? Or in this community, there's no light, or in this farm, in this community, there's no food security. You're providing blah, 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 blah for how many people in this market. You move to the next thing. So everything is 1 line one-line summary of, all the elements of your business plan. That's what will come in the executive summary, such that it captures everything, and anybody reading it understands the whole business plan without looking at the detail. So what this does is I'm looking at your executive summary to even understand if this business plan is worth taking my time, right? So if this executive summary is not properly done, I would probably just move on to the next person. If it doesn't capture my attention, I will move on to the next person. So ensure that this is your executive summary. So your executive summary is like like your elevator pitch, right? So that 2 minutes elevator pitch. That's the work of your executive summary. So it has to be captivating enough to want me to look into your business plan. I hope that's clear. So once Foco takes this, we'll answer some of the questions you have in the comments and we'll call it a day. Foco.
Donc, comme on l'a dit dès le début, le résumé exécutif se fait à la fin. Ça veut dire que vous tenez en compte tout ce que nous venons de dérouler depuis 1 heure ou bien environ 1h30. Donc, vous devez aller dans chaque section, prendre juste quelques points pour venir les mettre dans le résumé exécutif. C'est pour ça que le résumé exécutif doit être 1 page, maximum 2 pages, et il reprend de façon vraiment imagée tout le contenu de tout ce qu'on a détaillé lorsqu'on vous a expliqué ce qu'on retrouve dans un business plan. Donc, le résumé exécutif, on le répète, se fait essentiellement à la fin parce que c'est le premier élément qui permet au lecteur de votre business plan de savoir s'il doit continuer à lire votre business plan ou pas. Ça doit directement être captivant au point de susciter un intérêt pour le lecteur. Donc, on va donc passer aux quelques questions qu'il y a pour lesquelles on va vous apporter des réponses. Thank you. Over to you.
All right, so I'll take a few questions that I have seen, and then would go over to TEF. So the first question I see is around how you calculate the market size. Now, this is it doesn't have to be exact. So talk about the market. So first thing is even researching the market that you're planning to go into. Who are the people who are in need of this solution? So for example, I'm talking about if I'm building a renewable energy company and I'm focusing on my market is in Accra, for example, right? Or let's say Lagos, for example. Now, how many homes or how many people in Lagos need lights that don't have lights? So you can say, oh, Lagos has 20 million, people, let's say 5 million households. So this is what you also do in your research, right? Find out how many people are in that market. So for example, Lagos has 5 million households, or Lagos has 2 million organizations or factories that need my renewable energy solution, right? So you're not targeting everybody in Lagos. For example, you're only targeting factories in Abulegba, or factories in Agbara, or factories in Lekki, right? To supply your renewable energy solution to. Now, from that 5 million households or 5 million factories in Lagos, you narrow it down to maybe 2 million or 2,000 factories along Lekki Expressway. That's your target. That's assuming that your target is people in Lekki Expressway. So you're not saying you're targeting 200 million Nigerians that don't have lights. No, because you probably would not be able to serve 200 million Nigerians, right? You're not serving 200 million Nigerians. You're serving a particular market of people who need renewable energy and who you can service, because you cannot service 200 million people, right? So there's no point saying, oh, I'm building a platform to rent wedding dresses to Nigerian brides. So therefore, I'm serving 100 million Nigerian brides. No, because you have said half of the population are women. So women who want to get married are 100 million people. No, you don't do that. So your target market will be, you have to do some research to understand how many women are in Nigeria. So for example, there are 100 million women in Nigeria. How many women from that 100 women are of marriage age? So let's say half of that women are marriage, half of women in Nigeria of marriage age. That's 50 million women. You now break it down. From these 50 million women that are of marriage age, How many even want to get married? How many of these people want to get married? Let's say half of that population want to get married. That's 25 million. From 25 million, how many from this 25 million want to get married in, let's say, my city, in Ogun State or in Aba, right? So you don't just, have a blanket number. You have to research and narrow it down to the exact target market that you can service. All right. Then someone asks how many pages for the business plan. There's no specific number of pages. It could be 14 pages. It could be 21 pages. It could be 30 pages, but just ensure that you're not, writing unnecessarily long, business plan. So ensure that you're keeping it reasonably long or reasonably short. So I would advise between 14 and 25 pages is fine for your startup business plan. 14 to 25 pages is fine. There's no point going overboard. So Foko, you can take that while I look for the next set of questions.
Oui, pour ce qui est des premières questions, nous avons quelqu'un qui a demandé comment est-ce qu'on évalue le marché et l'autre, combien de pages font un business plan. Donc, pour ce qui est de l'évaluation du marché, Sioma a essayé d'indiquer que ça va dépendre de l'étude de marché que vous avez fait et de l'observation de votre environnement. Parce qu'effectivement, si vous êtes dans une ville où il y a 5 millions d'habitants, par exemple, pour un projet de traitement de déchets, si vous êtes dans une ville où il y a 5 millions d'habitants et que les industries qui produisent les déchets qui vous intéressent sont peut-être une centaine ou bien une vingtaine, il va de soi que vous pouvez faire une enquête qualitative, vous pouvez vous rapprocher d'un échantillon de chefs d'entreprise ou bien d'un échantillon de cette entreprise-là afin de pouvoir avoir des chiffres caractérisant la nature des déchets qui vont être injectés dans l'environnement. Bref, vous devez comprendre que l'analyse ici doit être scientifique et convaincante afin que les destinataires de votre business plan s'approprient la pertinence de l'évaluation que vous allez faire de votre business plan. Donc, il y a plusieurs techniques pour faire l'évaluation, mais vous devez être suffisamment pertinent quand vous faites votre déclaration de potentiel de marché. Ça peut aussi être le fait de la lecture économique. Dans la presse économique, ça peut être la Banque mondiale, le FMI ou les statistiques, les services de statistiques qui vous donnent des chiffres. Et ces chiffres vont faire foi pour votre analyse. Pour ce qui concerne le nombre de pages d'un business plan, Jérôme nous partage que ça peut être 21 pages, ça peut être 20, ça peut être 30, 40 pages. Toujours est-il que le business plan doit être suffisamment synthétique. Mais elle estime que pour une start-up, 25 pages, c'est raisonnable comme nombre de pages pour votre business plan. OK, over to you, Sioma.
Right. So some people are asking about the financial plan. You can paste it on the business plan directly, or just attach it when you're submitting the business plan. Also, I see people asking for asking who will pay the financial expert or who will pay the accountant. That is for people who don't know how to report their financial plan. If you can do it by yourself, please go ahead and build your financial plan as is stated here. I'm talking about getting help if you cannot, because some business owners are not financial experts and are not able to prepare their financial plan. So if you can't, get an expert, get an accountant to prepare a financial plan, and you'd have to pay for the service. But if you can yourself, please go ahead and prepare your financial plan. Looking for the next question. Someone says the executive summary has been their barrier. You have a problem with the executive summary, please search for executive summary templates or examples online. You would see exactly how to prepare an executive summary. If the explanation here is not does not suffice, but the explanation here is use everything, all the components of your business plan to prepare your executive summary. Take out one line, for example, one line each, 1 or 2 lines each from every section. Use that to construct your executive summary. It just gives a snapshot of everything you have talked about, just the way your elevator pitch is a small fraction of what your business is offering or what your business is about. That's the same way your executive summary is a snapshot of what this whole business plan is about. Let me check the comments here. They have options to drop their questions. Okay, great. So thank you, everyone. I think I've answered all the questions here. I think I've answered all the questions. I'm going through the questions. Must our business plan be an already existing business or an idea that can be funded? Your business can be an idea, and it can also be an existing business. Are we editing the business? Are you editing it on the template? Yes, this is a template for you to edit. You can see where it says to remove the red text after filling the section. So after editing, after filling the required information, delete the red text. So this template is a guide. It will guide you on what you're filling. But yes, you can use this template. I think that's about it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for being active here, and I hope you've had a great time. Thank you so much, Foko, for interpreting this session. Chimezi, over to you.
Thank you everyone for joining this very engaging and interactive session. I'm sure it was really insightful, and you are better versed on how you can develop a comprehensive green business plan. All right. Thank you again, Chioma. Thank you, Foko. In the attendance sheets, if you have any more questions, you can write your questions. There is a space for you to write your questions, and we'll collate it and send to our facilitator if any comes up. All right. So we'll close the attendance sheet immediately this session ends. Thank you very much. If you haven't signed the attendance yet, you still have a few minutes before we close it. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
All right,
have a good day.
You.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.